If you're shooting the OM Systems TG-6 or the latest TG-7, chances are you've paired it with the FCON-T02 Fisheye Conversion Lens. This lens basically lives on our TG cameras, and in this video I'll show you exactly how we set up our TG cameras for wide-angle photo and video underwater. First things first, if you don't already know, the FCON attaches to the camera by lining up the white dots on the lens and the camera body and simply turning it counterclockwise. Next, we turn off the log function. This is used to record location data, but will ultimately run down your battery, so we prefer to turn it off. Now let's turn on the camera and change the mode dial to A for aperture priority mode. The TG cameras don't offer a ton of manual control, so aperture priority is the best we can do. Now let's press the OK button to open the picture settings menu, and let's run down the list and change these settings. Picture mode will set to natural. ISO 100. These TG cameras need a ton of light to get the best image quality, so ideally you'll want to shoot it with some strobes and stick around ISO 100. If you're shooting with natural light though, you can use auto ISO. White balance will be set to auto, and you'll want to turn on your autofocus by choosing AF. Aspect ratio will keep at 4:3. And next, we'll always want to shoot in a RAW format. This will give you the most flexibility when changing your colors on your computer later, and more importantly, will allow you to change the white balance after you've taken the photo. If you want to shoot some video during your dive, you certainly can, and I would recommend either 4K 30 frames per second or 1080p 60 frames per second. Most underwater footage is shot at 60 frames per second, so you have the option to slow it down later. So if you think you'll want to slow down your footage, I would stick to 1080p 60 frames per second. Image stabilization set to on, and remote control set to RC because our TG cameras are always set up with Ikelite RC strobes. Flash compensation is set to 0, but I'll come back to this in a moment. Drive mode single, and metering mode set to ESP. Turn face priority off, and set the accessory to off. This may seem counterintuitive since the FCON-T02 is listed as an accessory, but if you choose anything other than the off option, your strobes will not fire. Now let's scroll back up to flash compensation and leave it at 0, but hit OK. Now, if you're shooting and feel like you need to lower or raise your flash compensation, you just need to hit OK and it will automatically go back to that setting, and then you can use the left or right arrows to bump it up or down accordingly. Before we move on, one of our favorite parts of doing what we do is seeing the images that you capture. So if you get anything that you're excited about, please share it with us on Facebook or Instagram, and consider submitting to be a featured customer on our newsletter and website. I'll leave links to all of that in the description below. So now we've set up a majority of the settings on our TG-7 camera, but there's a few more that we like to change. So we'll press the menu button, and we'll start by changing the AF area to spot. And then just choose the center box. We found this to be the most convenient when shooting a wide variety of underwater subjects. We aren't going to change anything in the shooting menu too. Nothing in the video menu because we already set that earlier. We'll leave the playback menu up to personal preference. And on page A of the custom menu, we're going to turn AF illuminator off. Scroll down to page C and select ISO auto set. Hit the right arrow on upper limit default, and we're going to set the upper limit ISO to 1600 and the default to 100. Again, ideally, you're shooting this camera with some strobes. However, if you are shooting ambient light and using auto ISO, this will tell the camera that the highest ISO you want to use is ISO 1600, and anything really above that, you're going to start getting really noisy images. So 1600 is a good place to start, but if you feel like you need to go any higher, you can play around with this setting and change the upper limit. Press OK and scroll down to page H. Under sleep, we like to set it to 1 minute, so that after a minute of inactivity, no pressing buttons on your camera or taking photos, the camera will go to sleep and start saving battery. One more page down in the setup menu is where you'll find monitor brightness. So if it's a sunny day, you can either turn that up so you can see better or turn it down if it's a little too bright. And then image review will set the amount of time that the last photo you've taken is displayed on the back of your camera. We leave ours at about 5 seconds, but it's really up to you depending on how much time you need to see your photo, make sure that it's in focus, the lighting is correct, and then get back to shooting. So now we've set up our TG-7 and the FCON-T02 lens exactly how we would if we were going to go on a dive today. If you have any questions, please drop them in the comments below or email us at ikelite@ikelite.com.